Hi everybody, and thank you for joining me. Welcome to this reading for the Timeless Pick a Card. I want you guys to put 4 questions in your mind and ask each of the decks a different question. I have 4 crystals that I chose for each deck, so let me just tell you what they are, then we'll talk about the other stuff as you decide. It's really helpful if you write down your questions, 1, 2, 3, 4, either in your phone, on the notepad, or maybe write it down on a piece of paper if you don't have your phone with you. So the 4 crystals are Hidden Light. I know I show this a lot, but I love it. It's a very special crystal, and it's a type of kunzite, which is to do with universal love. So this is the first pile, and I think the deck we're reading here with is the Palladini deck. The second pile, the Aquarian Tarot, I have my beautiful citrine. You know, it's so special. It looks like a piece of glass, right? It's really nice. And then we have the Nirvana Quartz over the Morgan Greer Tarot. And this is, again, one of my favorite crystals to take you to your happy place. And then finally, last but not least, we have the Mermaid Tarot, and then this is a Rose Quartz. So I hope you guys are doing well, and thank you for joining me today. In the About section, or actually in the comment section, I've been posting links, so you guys have an easier time finding the videos, because I've been doing more specials recently, and I like doing them. I think it works better, so go check that out. If you just subscribed to my channel, hi, my name is Veroosh, and welcome. If you've just subscribed, or if you've been subscribed for a while, if the bell next to the subscribe button doesn't have the 2 lines over it, you're not going to get a notification that I'm posting a video. And then likewise, I have videos on Vimeo, which is linked down below, and we are into October, and so with October there are videos for each of your signs for the month, which is an extended edition of the ones on YouTube. And then also I have the Venus retrograde, which all the videos are out for now, and it's just a small bonus video for each sign. You can get all of them as a package in the way that it's shown here, okay? So if you guys are ready, we should probably begin. It's 4 Celtic crosses we're going to do today with the decks that I mentioned. Hopefully you have your questions in mind, and if you guys don't mind, please make sure to comment, like, and subscribe, but definitely comment and like. If we get up to 500 likes on the first day, as usual, we will get an opportunity to do a second reading tonight, and my cutoff for that is 8 p.m. so Pacific time. I live in California time zone, so Vancouver. Okay, so this is the Hidden Light. This is a beautiful crystal that is associated with universal love energy. So this isn't really, it is one-to-one compassion, yes, of course, but it also has to do with having compassion for people in general, the world around us and all of that. Specifically, Hidden Light is a type of kunzite, which is a pink stone usually. This is kunzite right here, this one right here. But this one has more to do with psychic ability. So this is the energy that we are using for this. And so here are the cards that I have for you guys. I'm going to pick from the bottom because that is how I picked it originally. So if you chose one, hi, thanks for joining us right now. And please make sure to comment as I asked before. I know some of you guys just jump in right into the video, so hi, hopefully you guys have a nice day. And this is a timeless video, by the way, which means that any time that you watch is fine. So do the time cap here. Hi ones, thanks for joining me. Okay, so let's see your first card. So first off, we have the 7 of Swords. I think that there's a great desire to move away from a situation. I think that it's become too difficult for you to carry on. Also trying to resolve which things to keep and which things to leave behind. There's this kind of real mentality about exactly what is worth salvaging. It's like, you know, imagine like, well, you don't want to imagine that, but imagine a house burning and running in and trying to grab something, or the flood coming and running in and in some way trying to grab the things that are most necessary. There seems to be some kind of rush in order to get whatever you can out of a situation, okay? The crossing energy is, we have the Emperor. So this represents fathers or father figures. This can also represent the rule of law / established energy. So I feel as though it's not an easy thing to get away from. It's not an easy circumstance to get away from and to break apart from. There's also a lot of positive feelings here, like a lot of sentimental things in which a person may not want to necessarily move on or change things so quickly, because with every single with every single bad thing, there's usually good things attached to it as well. There could be a lot of influence of men in this situation, so men in some way really trying to construct a situation, or maybe there's stability that this situation offers to you that in some way you are accepting of or tolerant of, and it's encouraging you to stay. The next message is the Chariot card at the top. This represents the sign of Cancer. By the way, the Emperor is Aries. So we have the Chariot, which is the sign of Cancer. And with this transit, I feel like to the world, it seems as though you're really overcoming your obstacles. You're really overcoming problems, and things are really on the up and up. And so you are, you seem to everyone, or at least in your public life, there are a lot of positive things that are happening for you. There could be a relationship with a Cancer that is evolving and becoming more, how do you say, more integrated or more consistent in your life. I feel as though you're trying to find your place in the world, and I feel as though you're trying to find your place in your communities as well. So you're saying a lot of positive things, you're saying a lot of things, but this Seven of Swords here is making me wonder what's making you feel somewhat uncomfortable, or one of the people. On the bottom is the Ace of Cups. This is love that is becoming deeper. This is love that is in some way finding a new expression or experience of itself. So you may have learned a love lesson, a lesson about love between people. And so your choices that you are making, you may have almost wanted to leave a situation, and now there's there's something that is in some way holding you there, or keeping you in some way in this situation. Now this Ace of Cups can be a new relationship, but oftentimes it can also represent a deepening of understanding in a situation or feelings. So this can mean that in this situation there are deepening feelings. You're learning new aspects of who you are. You're learning new aspects of what your experience entails. And so I feel like there's this kind of eye-opening energy that is happening here. In the past, we have the Three of Cups. So there was probably a lot of celebration, not much in the way of how do you say, serious thought or conversation. I feel like there would have been in some way kind of a laissez-faire attitude, which is when people don't necessarily put too much emphasis on what's going on. It's an easy time of reflection and recollection. I feel like the energy is becoming more serious in the present time. Something's really settling down into something that is dependable or consistent. So I just thought, just like with my yearly readings, I'll leave the outcome cards covered for now, and we'll see all the other cards, and then we'll unveil both at the same time, okay? So here, I'll actually just put them down so there's no, so you guys can look at everything together. Okay, so here is you in this situation. So you have Moon. Oh, you definitely have cloudy feelings, don't you? This could also involve a Pisces or a Cancer. So we have the message of Cancer twice. However, the Moon is ruled by the sign of Pisces. There are mixed feelings in a situation. It really feels as though there are clouded circumstances. Clouded circumstances means that people have said and done things, or maybe things have gotten so confusing that it's really, really hard to differentiate and figure out what's what. In your environment, or what is around you, you have the Hanged Man. So what this represents is that there's a continual stasis around you. It really feels like your environment is static, that it's stuck, that it's not changing. And maybe this is a part of your desire to move away from something, to transform something, to get out of the situation. But I feel as though the people around you and the circumstances around you are unwavering, and they're holding you in place. You may be learning lessons as a byproduct of that. I don't think that's the purpose of this energy, but I feel like whenever you're stuck, you know, if you were stuck on a deserted island for a month because your ship got wrecked, and you're just stuck there on an island with a bunch of species of crabs, how about that? You know, just crawling around in the sand. You'd study the species of crabs, right? You would kind of try to learn something. So in this situation, I feel like it's a similar energy. You can't really do much about it right now, but you can still kind of poke around and in some way figure things out. The next energy is your hopes and fears. This is actually secretly a very powerful position. So we have the Knight of Rods. You feel as though if you go a certain direction, things will run away from you. I feel like you want to push in, but you feel like the energy to push in is somewhat unstable. And so I don't know, it's almost like a big risk that you are afraid of, that you are worried to take. And so in order to push forward in a situation, you don't know how you can reach back to that energy. This is a self-confidence issue, I think. Okay, so these are the upcoming cards. So this is near future and this is far future, yeah? So we have in the near future, let me know how you guys are liking this. I'm feeling the energy, it feels good. So you have the Two of Swords. Yeah, more deliberation. You need to get more familiar with not only what's going on around you, but what's happening inside of you, right? So you're more kind of contemplating or deliberating how to handle things, or how to approach a situation. I feel as though there's a lot of indication that you are overcoming certain things on an emotional level to be able to confront or make a decision about things. But it's really definitely your decision. I think that this needs to clear. I think excuse me. I think this needs to clear, and you need to really wait for this to be daytime. Okay. This needs to turn to day, so it needs to become much more clear. What this means is that your feelings and emotions need to clarify. I feel like this is not going to go away. I feel like this situation is not going to necessarily go away too easy. I feel like it's there for you. I feel as though it's a deep connection, and so you have time to deliberate. This Emperor also is saying this. These things are not changing as fast as you think they may be. Excuse me. And it's really good that in some way you've let go of this carefree attitude, that you are now paying attention. Here is the next message and the ultimate outcome of the situation for now. We have the Six of Swords. So for now, it's a really good idea to move away from the situation. There could be progress forward towards a situation that will in some way be less difficult or less trying. But I think that the lessons that you have learned are still on your mind. And I feel as though there may be a decision in order to kind of draw away or pull yourself away in a new direction so that you can find peace in the circumstances. But I really feel like that's not going to necessarily hold. I think that this could only be temporary. The reason that I think that it's temporary is because this to me feels like there has been that enlightenment already. You've had that light bulb moment come through and you are conscious of it now. And even though you feel all sorts of way intimidated, all of this stuff feels like blockages to me. And I feel like ultimately maybe you need a timeout, but I feel like maybe I feel like maybe you this will not leave you so easily. And I feel as though there's someone else who is sort of ushering you in this new direction. There's a person around you who is facilitating this. You don't know what to do about the situation, so for now you're moving on. But I feel like there's a lot available to you here. You just need to in some way reconnect with the energy when you're there. I think somebody's also going to follow you, not in a creepy way, but like reach out to you or try to draw you back. And I think that that's the point when you will turn around and make a more informed decision. Okay, so I feel like, yeah, getting away from situation, you feel intimidated and things are in some way really kind of, how do you say, they're clouding things for you. They're you know, the lack of knowledge, the lack of insight is really shielding you from really understanding what's going on. So without all this information, all you can do is kind of let go. And kind of, this is also choosing to let bygones be bygones, to allow the negative things, the pressure of your feelings and your experiences is sort of going to be released. And so in some way you are going to move into more smooth territory, and when that happens, maybe reconnection can happen. Okay, so that's number one. It looks pretty hopeful to me. I think that sometimes circumstances around us are really perilous. I know this is a timeless reading, but we are reading right before Venus retrograde. So for some of you, this will, the next 6 weeks, you know, maybe a holding period. Okay, so next, number twos. Hi, number twos. Please let me know if you want to watch. I have a lovely citrine, and citrine is happiness and money and joy. And I have this, it's crystal clear, right? It's beautiful, but it's a crystal. It's a, well, it's crystal clear crystal, but it's citrine. It's the happiness crystal. Okay, so again, maybe I'll do it just this way so we have all the cards out. Let me start the reading for your number twos. Make sure to comment and like. So your first message is the Ten of Swords. This is the Sun in Gemini, okay? And so I feel as though you feel betrayed. You feel betrayed and you feel unaided. You feel as though you've put a lot of effort into something and nobody is stepping to your side. This is probably a predicament that you felt many times before. And you've been also kind of let out, how do you say? You've been let on by people on the way up. People have been encouraging you to do things a certain way, and you've been following that kind of group cohesion, and then you turn around and right before you get to where you want to be, it's like, okay, well, we were just joking about this yesterday, or this was the reality yesterday, and now you're nowhere to be seen. So people really like to do that. They really like to get on other people's coattails and celebrate them. And then when it becomes uncomfortable or whatever, then they turn around and they, you know, they stab people in the back. So we have the Empress, and it came in the reverse. I'll see if the cards come in the reverse, just ignore it. So the Empress, actually let's keep it. We'll see what this means. So this can mean like a dull mother, a mother who is in some way dull or how do you say, pedantic, a mother who is in some way kind of callous and vain. So this is maybe not, this reversal would be like this, I think. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so I feel like this has to do with a letdown that you've experienced by your mother. That was the core energy that caused these kinds of feelings to roll through. It's a dull woman. It's a woman who is you know, maybe had children for the wrong reasons. You know, for a long time you could never say that about mothers. Mother was sanctity, but in reality, there's many women who don't deserve to have children, like just like there's many men who don't deserve to have children. And in some way, this woman kind of had, she was empty, she was not present, and she had other things. She may have been vain, she may have been prejudiced. I feel like she's this kind of woman that in some way does bad energy, you know, has bad energy towards everyone, including her own children. The top energy here is the Fool. So we got to remember that she's reversed. That's why I'm reading the Empress like this. So we have the Fool. Beautiful card, hey? So a new beginning has become available to you. This is, don't worry, it's not going to get, don't give me dislikes, twos. We're going to pull this through. This is the situation that you're in, right? And so we have the Fool here. A new breakthrough has come through for you, and you are probably pretty excited about it. It's probably yielding for you a possible good outcome. You're looking to the past, but really thinking about the future. On the bottom, we have the Queen of Pentacles, a Virgo, Taurus, or Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. There has been a lot of energy extended to this person in private, or in some way that is not public, right? And so I feel as though this is also really thinking about boundaries a lot, because of the things that have happened around you. The things that have happened around you are in some way have made you feel about, check in with your boundaries, whether you're a man or a woman, an earth sign or not. You have been checking in with this kind of energy. The main message that I have for this is twofold. One, that maybe people, when you feel like, when you've been victimized and you feel like you are the sufferer of a certain type of experience, sometimes you don't realize how common that experience is, right? And sometimes it becomes a point of healing to realize that a lot of people may have the same type of experience as you are having now. And so the healing point is to realize that this is a social problem, that it's common, and that you're not a target of some specific energy. However, you may draw more of that into yourself because of this mother who in some way was callous and cruel and selfish. And so you're checking back in with your own boundaries. Once you have healed the feeling of why me, once you have healed the feeling of feeling ostracized by this energy, by being singled out, and in some way kind of experiencing something, you know, over and over again, once you realize it's a common experience that you keep on hitting on, then you can kind of think about why, and what things are you doing to facilitate that. And so with the Queen of Pentacles, probably it's an issue of boundaries. It's an issue of how much you are allowing other people to have influence on in your life. Probably people with mothers like this are have significant problems with those kinds of things. If you feel like you have bad enough problems, then you should probably go see a counselor. The mother relationships, and a lot of my viewers are women, are, you know, inherently difficult, especially with daughters. So if you feel that way, if you feel betrayed, if it's not your mother, it could be the feminine archetype. Why did all women fail me? Why did my sisters fail me? And again, that's a social ill. That's a social issue. But it's the divine feminine doesn't love me. That's the energy here, and you feel that betrayal, and it keeps on coming through. But the Queen of Pentacles is all about boundaries. It's like, fine, if you're going to do this to me, I'm not going to let you into that area of my life, right? That's the bottom line. And so I feel like this is the energy that you are drawing from, and you get great benefit from being confident to understand that by changing your boundaries, you're going to eliminate or actually minimize a sizable amount of this in your life. So that's a little bit of a pep talk psychology moment, but I hope that helps. And again, go see a counselor if it's too overwhelming, especially if you are not emotionally stable. or if you're depressed or really anxious, there's no way for you to address certain things because you really need to calm down. That's why when you go see a psychologist, they often try to address issues of depression and anxiety first. Not only are they most common, but they're also the issues that prevent people from healing other parts of their lives. So you need to always get stable and then move forward, yeah? And then you think about what the reason for that is. The other point that I wanted to make is maybe you're a high achiever and maybe you get yourself to a very high position because you have a mother who had such high standards that you in turn also try to be at that level, trying to be like her in some way. And so you have to realize, again, you feel this victimhood because you get up to a certain level and everybody's betraying you, because that's what happens at the top. And I think for women, because we are, through history, women really gravitated and networked. The network of women was very, very important. So when women in some way come into conflict, for example, they often try to shame or ridicule someone in order to get ground, on them. And that's a part of all this. So if you've been the victim of something like that, where there has been betrayal, it has a lot to do with the fact that you have worked really hard to get to where you are. And again, the only answer is boundaries, personal boundaries. And at least if it's not boundaries that you can enforce around you in a physical way, it should be boundaries within your own heart. Like, you don't let them have that mind space, right? In the past is the 10 of Rods. So yeah, you worked really, really, really hard towards achieving the things that you need. I caught someone again copying me, which is common on YouTube. It happens all the time, right? She was just using words to do with programming in her own video. And she's a high achiever too. And I was very disappointed to see that. So I feel like if you don't want that energy to come at you, then you should not do that energy to others. It's the fastest way to bring more of that in. And it becomes very clear sometimes when your work is being appropriated and copied. If you don't, you're bringing that onto yourself when you're doing that to other people. And yes, some people can get away with it, but you will be so much more productive. Hyper productive people or high achievement people should not be wasting their time with that kind of thing, because that kind of thing slows you down, and you would be, imagine the amount of time it takes to memorize and to copy or appropriate. It takes so much time, and so I feel like all that time could be spent towards creating and pushing forward. So I think that there's no place for people who are highly productive to be doing such things. And I find that only lazy and dull people really do that. People who don't do much or who always want to cut corners, that kind of thing. So that comes with character. So if this is hopefully resonating for you, it's YouTube for me, but for you guys, it could be something else, and something else in life. There's always that woman who gets her hair cut the same way as you do, There's always that woman who is tearing you down, who in some way envies you and, has like a hard-on for you. So I feel like you've just been grinding away and being a good little soldier. And I think that it's come to this place, and after all this work, there's no celebration, there's no catharsis, and in that sense of what you've imagined it to be. And I think that actually the payoff is, the reward is that you have something to celebrate, and you're being taught that, it doesn't matter what everybody says. That's how you got here, because people are oftentimes like seals, seals clap. So that they'll clap and they'll clap, but at the end of the day, it's what you've made, it's what you've become. And so maybe this is your payoff, and sometimes the payoff doesn't sound like accolades, and sometimes the payoff doesn't sound like trumpet calls, but there's new beginnings in this for you. There's a lot of things to draw from. You in the situation, you have the King of Swords, a Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra. So in some way, really having your mindset on something, you're deliberating, and you've been thinking really hard about a situation or a circumstance. You need to move forward in a particular direction. Time is of the essence. Yeah, and I feel like maybe in some way you're observing yourself. You're observing yourself in some way. and saying, geez, I really need to go, but I really need to address this about myself as well. This could also be somebody who is, you know, you can see this energy. He's watching her, but not in a creepy way. It's just he's you know, he's been touched. You know, he gets something. So you may be surprised that there are people who are amorous towards you, or feeling feeling touched or moved by your energy, and in some way they are they are kind of pondering everything. You know, the King of Swords is very much someone who is set in trying to understand, and trying to understand, and logic based, reason based. Here is the next message. We have in your environment the Queen of Swords, a Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra. If this is your mother, this is going to be a trigger, right? If this is your mother, the callous woman, this could be a trigger and actually a point of healing. So but you have to look for Queens of Swords who are pristine, women who don't have hang-ups, women who don't use their intellect in order to scathe other people. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck with this kind of energy over again. So in your environment at this time, this is someone who is righteous and ruthless, and capable to wield, you know, both harm and justice and good. So I feel like in your environment there's like an arbiter, somebody who is in some way reasoning out all the situations in order to neutralize and clarify the situation. Some of the things that she brings into your life you're not gonna like. You're gonna be like, get off my, you know what, get off my butt. You know, but in some way she's there for a reason. We'll see what that reason is in a minute. And then we have the Seven of Swords. Look at all these swords. There's been fighting going on like no tomorrow. Seven of Swords, dipping out on something. This is Moon in Aquarius. Hey girl, hey. And so, excuse me, we have Seven of Swords. So I think that you're afraid that you're going to have to, excuse me, move on from a situation before you're able to address it. I think that you're feeling like there's gonna be a lack of closure on things, and to you that feels very triggering because that's like your relationship with your mother. Sorry about the heavy mom talk here, but it is citrine. It's about success, right? So if there's a lot of women watching, our mothers are a gateway to our success, right? And so we have the Knight of Swords. Okay. This is like somebody, there's really high probability for a fight or some kind of addressing of the issue. The main thing that you can do in order to shield yourself from all of this, and I feel like you're not the underdog in this, I don't think anybody is, but the main thing that you can shield yourself from in this situation is feeling victimhood mentality and really kind of opening it up, as I said initially, right? But I feel like there's this kind of gathering of swords, gathering of the assault. The next card is the Eight of Rods. Could very well be a quick assault, but if you take it in a good place, then I feel like this is ultimately healing energy. This is Mercury in Sagittarius, and that happens at the end of October on the 31st. Mercury moves into Sag, and next month we are going to have Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius in November. So yeah, so you have Eight of Rods, loving energy. It takes one word from you. It takes one kind word from you, one positive bit of energy to really disassemble all of this. And this could be happening within your mind or in your environment, but in some way there's this real kind of, it's built up so much, all the feelings of betrayal of all this. But the thing is, I don't think this is an immediate threat, but this is so much more to appreciate and to be grateful for, or to feel fulfilled by than anything else. So I feel like you can turn around the energy in a big way. This is someone who could be unaware of everything that's going on. So if you're watching this and the light bulb just went off, good for you, because we probably saved you from some really bad shit. This can also look like, you know, people are getting ready to stab you in the back. People are getting ready to do this and that. But I feel like if you're watching this, then maybe you can have a turnaround moment. You can forgive them, but never let them back in again. You know what I mean? Like you may forgive them or you know, and I wouldn't say confront it, because that's when it's going to become a total mess. So the best idea is to be like, I see you, and I see you, and I'm going to do what I'm going to do on the low, which, where's the Seven of Swords? I'm going to act this out, you know? This is what you're hoping out. So this is skillful. This is tactful, you know? Not only, it's called the theft card, right? The volant. But it actually is a card of tact and discernment, knowing when to dip out on situation. You don't need to confront, right? Okay. So I hope this helped. I know it's a harsh reading, but it turns out in this, and this is arrows of love coming into your life. So you don't want to start to get fighting, because the Cupid's arrows are not going to reach you, you know? That's the payoff. There's payoffs coming, and I feel like all this reading is saying is like, back up out of this feeling like this only happened to you. Yeah, it's hard about your mom, but then also all these people, they seem really ruthless. They seem like they have an agenda, and that's never a good thing. Yeah, and you've earned your place, so you don't deserve that. You don't need it. You don't deserve it, and you don't want it, right? So chin up, number 2s. Wow. Okay, so number 3s. And so this is the Morgan Greer Tarot, and this is a crystal. This is my favorite crystal. It's called a Nirvana quartz, and usually they can come in very like light colors like white, but I had the privilege or the luck of getting some very ruddy ones, and it's so happy. So when you hold this, it takes you to a happy place when you meditate with it. So it's a very special energy. Okay, so let's see your cards. So I'm going to turn over the first one. So we have the Six of Pentacles. So this issue involves giving money and taking money in order to balance out the situation. In some situations, the only thing you can do is a financial exchange, and this may be one of them. Sometimes the interpersonal issues are such that you can't do anything else but give money or take money. It's kind of like that's the only thing that the situation is afforded, you know, at this time. But without doing that, you're not doing your due diligence in order to bring forward an energy, that's the highest vibration energy you can bring to the situation right now. So if you're thinking about a person or a situation, you need to give them a gift. You need to, if it's me, you can send it to, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so yeah, Christmas presents, all of that, you know, maybe this is talking about leading up until Christmas. I know it's crazy that we're saying that already, but you know, it's coming fast. And so I feel like the Six of Pentacles this is all you can do at this time, but that's not necessarily such a bad thing. It's just sometimes people, sometimes in certain situations, people can, they feel like there needs to be something deeper, that they feel like there needs to be, like, in order for it to be real, it needs to go deeper. But I argue that sometimes that's the gesture that you need to do. Sometimes you're off the hook. That's like off the hook, you know? You put some consideration and thought into the present. Don't get them gift card, you know, or if they want a gift card, if they're kids, get them gift cards, because, you know, because kids, they know what they want. You remember being a kid, right? Like, you don't want no socks. You don't want no, you know, last year's video game, whatever. But anyway, so there's a little bit of money that's going on here, money exchange, but thought behind it as well. If you want to get it and think of it as a good thing, think of it as a, you know, that's what the energy warrants right now. Maybe you don't need to have a heavy discussion all the time. So the cross is the Empress. So the crossing energy, she was upright though. So again, mother energy, you know, and also this is so in history, right? There is so in Greece, I think in Rome as well, but in Greece for sure, and there would be these temples, and so people would bring fruits and other types of offerings to the gods, right? and the mother is the archetype, is a personification of God energy, the God archetype personified in through women. And so it's father as well. But I feel like there's this energy of giving some kind of thanks, you know, a physically giving of something. And she has the pomegranate at her feet also. I feel that's right there, right by the moon. So I feel as though there's this kind of offering that is being extended. At the top of the reading, we have the King of Wands, and so he is a Sag, a Leo, or an Aries. And I feel like there is someone who is in some way, it's almost like you're trying to present this situation in front of somebody else's eyes. You're trying to present this situation in somebody else's eyes so they can in some way appreciate or appear, so they can appreciate and recognize the value and the merit. And so I feel like this is the thing with women, for example, you know, when they say, oh, you know, like giving women things, you know, giving women. I have Venus in the 8th house in Cancer, so I'll always be a advocate for gifts. I love my gifts. I love them, but I'm also pretty generous too. But anyway, but I do believe that, like, when you're married or when you're in with your mother, you know, those kinds of gifts are necessary, and how she looks, not how she looks in terms of not how she looks in terms of things, because everybody's different, you know, there's lots of different experiences that people have, but in terms of presentation, and that can be, you know, that can be adjusted to your financial status. It has nothing to do with like Gucci belts, you know, but how she is presented to the world is how the whole family is perceived, right? So there's this kind of energy associated, and I know this is very traditional way of explaining it, but it's really true in modern society too. There needs to be reverence shown, and that reverence sometimes needs to be shown through physical objects or clothes or whatever it is. She needs to look good, you know, for everybody else, to save face, or to kind of you know, give credit where credit is due. Then we have the king, because the woman is always right? So yeah, of course. The Queen of Pentacles, or the King of Pentacles, a Virgo, Taurus, or Capricorn, a man who's very affluent, and someone who is very much someone who is a person of means. This could be, did I say Virgo, Taurus, or Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising? Again, the expression of love through gifts and generosity. But the implied thing here is that you have so much value, you deserve this. And I feel like for some of you, this is you receiving gifts, but for some of you, this is a call for you to give to your mother. You know, get her a new bag, get her some shoes. Let them see her value, you know, and what she's carried forward for you. The next message is in the past, which is the Four of Wands. A happy home, a happy, stable family, and joy has come into people's lives. There's been maybe a marriage, a recent marriage, or the starting of a family. And so I feel like maybe there is this blessing. I don't know, in Eastern cultures, there's these bamboo shoots that they buy, or the money tree, right? Or the money tree is a money plant. And so when somebody buys a new home or they have a new space, you bring these things in. The bamboo is for money, and the tree, there's a prosperity tree as well, and you can kind of gift it to somebody in a new home. I feel like this is the energy that you're working with now. This energy has a lot to do with, you know, putting good energy in, if only to bring a crystal in, right? If only to bring a crystal in to signify something. Here is the energy, here is the blessings, here is this. And we are living in an age of scarcity. I mean, there are people who are very affluent, but the majority of people are living in an age of scarcity where our GDP or is actually, or our like our wealth is actually decreasing over time. So and it's been happening since the 50s. That's why the economy is so shot, because I'm talking about North America, sorry for everybody else, and Europe too. It's because that the way that we accrued our money is shifting, and so the kind of sleazy ways that people gained money in the past, and I mean on an international level by exploiting people in other countries, that's being overturned. And so now we are living in this age in which our wealth is decreasing, and very quickly. And so for that reason, this might be something like that is deprioritized so much sometimes. Yeah. The next message is your environment, which is the Queen of Cups. She's a Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is someone who has a lot of love to give. This is a compassionate energy. This is an energy of emotional understanding. And I feel as though in some way she is always willing to give. She is a giver as well. And so I feel like there's this kind of trying to bring into the situation, giving from the heart, you know, this kind of energy. So here is the next message. We have the Eight of Cups. So things have changed in this situation. There has been a drawing away period. People have taken a step back. But I feel like maybe they have taken a step back with their emotions, because things have changed in the dynamics in this family. Excuse me. And so now it's not necessarily, somebody may have left, but also there could be, somebody could have left emotionally too. And maybe this is the family reconnecting to wealth, reconnecting to what they have, because they had in some way felt as though they've been abandoned. And when this happens, all these cups, you know what happens when you leave a glass of juice out on the counter for a couple days? It starts to grow mold, right? So when emotions are unattended, it feels really, really crappy within the family, right? I don't know about the juice, I just made it up, but you know, the point is that something's been left unattended, and it's depleted the whole energy of the family. And I feel like this is, this gift giving, this concept of generosity is in some way trying to reinitiate power within the dynamic of all the people involved, and also with the people who are watching, the people who are observing. The hopes and fears is the Ten of Cups. So you're hoping for a happy family again. You're hoping for a really good emotional connection. I think it's totally there already. It's just implied. I think the energy that you're standing behind is financial, but I do feel like you're definitely the energy is really good. So the upcoming energy, the near future, we have the Five of Pentacles. So everybody's needs need to be addressed. What is that quote, that the success of a village is marked by the success of the poorest person in it, you know? So it's like everybody needs to be brought up a level, you know, in order to kind of join the happy medium there. And so that means, and then this will be the success card, the Six of Rods. Somebody's coming in to help with that. There could be an energy who's coming in order to help to elevate this. This person could be getting married. So this person in your family, or could be getting married. They were in a down and out situation, but their balancing is coming in now to make things even and fair between all people. So I feel like things, this is a very happy reading. I know I got into the details a bit too much, but I feel like this person, whoever's leaving, if we looked at that cloak, we would see like they were a zombie. They were zombified by the time they left. They were on some other stuff, and they were leaving, and they were just depleted and they were draining the crap out of everything. But this is a resilient family. This is a strong family. So there was only a brief period of this. This could have been one of your family members who got divorced or separated. And that's why they're kind of in this Five of Pentacles. Like they just got beat up in some way, not physically, but like energetically. And so this person dips, the energy low, family comes in, elevates the energy, and there's success. Somebody else is coming in. So that looks really good, you guys. I know this is taking a long time, but I hope you guys like. If you really like, make sure to comment and like. Make sure to comment. The comments are really, really important. I know the kids do it all the time, so it's weirder for us adults to enjoy that kind of energy, but that's what we need to do to get these readings. So, okay, so we have rose quartz. I love this rose quartz. It feels so good. Okay, so let's see your cards. And this is the Dame Darcy Tarot. Number 4, hi, nice to see you. Okay, so let's see your first card. So you have the Devil. Ooh. Okay, so weird way to start, huh? So I feel like with this Devil, there is a secret. There's a secret that's going on here that hasn't been talked about, that hasn't been fleshed out yet. There's no understanding about it, not too much understanding. I feel as though people are embarrassed about these things, and I feel like maybe some communication needs to happen in this situation. There's something there's a pink elephant in the room, but it's beyond. A pink elephant is cute, right? But this isn't necessarily such an easy energy. This could also be involving a Capricorn. This 10 of Wands right here, this represents that somebody has been struggling a lot. Somebody has been struggling a lot with the responsibilities and the burden they've taken on. This energy is bottoming out at this time. So somebody has been extremely ambitious. And remember, rose quartz is all love. So it's like somebody's been extremely ambitious. I feel like somebody's been very ambitious to hold a situation down a certain way. And I think that it's about to bottom out. They're not going to be able to carry it much longer. But I think that's a good thing, because I think their motivations were not either sincere or they were not organic, right? The next message is the Queen of Wands up here. So she's a Sag, a Leo, or an Aries. So this is someone who wants the upper hand all the time, and she seems to be the orchestrator of events that happen around this situation. I feel as though this woman won't give up power too easy in any dynamic. So if you're dealing with this woman, that she could be a man, she's going to fight tooth and nail to keep her position, okay? So she has in some way a vested interest in what happens. Here is below, we have the 7 of Cups. I feel as though there has been, or there will be, a lot of confusion. And this happens because there's people who are toxic in this situation, who are in some way trying to create their reality. So the toxic means that toxic means that somebody is trying to create something fake. You know, the way that things are going, they try to create an imposition and for their own ego gratification. Oftentimes that doesn't have to, when I say ego gratification, that means that they have certain truths they believe about themselves, and in order to maintain that truth, which is the ego, they need to create an environment that facilitates it, right? So that's why when you're with a narcissist and you show them that you don't care so much, which you should never do, because if you do care, because they'll figure it out and they'll break you down with it. But if you do show them, then they experience narcissistic hurt, and so that is when their ego breaks down, right? That's the extreme form of that. But I feel like people, oftentimes we say, you know, you can't push people around emotionally. You can't have other people see things the same way as you do, because it's toxic, right? And I feel like this is in the middle of that. You know, there's two people involved. They're co-conspirators. Oftentimes in families, there's two people that are in some way, they're not forming an agreement like shaking on it, like you do this, I do that. But in families, people start working together towards a certain outcome, and their egos are aligned in a certain way to kind of inflict as much influence on a circumstance as possible. You know, they inflict as much influence on a situation as possible, and it seems as though they're doing it for the good of others, but oftentimes it has to do solely with the confirmation of what the way they see things, the way they are. And that would be fine if their boundaries were healthy, but their boundaries are actually unhealthy. Their boundaries spill over into other people's. That's why in families it gets so toxic, because people who haven't defined their boundaries really well spill over onto the other people around them, and can in some way really make the other people hurt, really make the other people not feel well, and kind of impose, specifically like Munchausen syndrome, where a mother or a father, I think it's mostly correlated with women. So when a mother makes her children sick in order to garner attention, you know, that's floppy boundaries. But there's different degrees of that in other situations. So I feel like this situation is being manipulated by possibly a narcissist, by possibly a mix of a narcissist and a sociopath. It's very common that they kind of end up together because they have, you know, their identity is very similar, so they resonate with each other. And, you know, and oftentimes narcissists and sociopaths can not even recognize that they're narcissistic or sociopathic. They may feel like, or they don't feel, that's the problem, well, in sociopathy, but they may think that they're normal. That's the problem. They think that, and they just identify with each other, but they have the same maladaptive behaviors, right? So somebody's been towing the line really a long time. This person, probably the narcissist in some way, is trying to, and imposing. And if a family member is ill, maybe they have depression, maybe they have something else. But if a family member is in some way ill, they can do this to that person. They'll use that third person as a grounding rod, you know, for that energy to confirm that identity, because that identity doesn't go far with everyone, right? Because everywhere else in the world, they're just people. They're just people like you and I. But within that situation, they have this grandiose identity that's the confirmation of their ego. That's what they want. And so they use a third party or another member of the family. And that's how sociopathy works in families. That's why there is more sociopathy in families, because one person could be a psychopath, which is inborn. Sociopath is learned through trauma, right? So one person could be a psychopath, and that can actually, it kind of all gels together in some way, right? And the behaviors and the experiences and the physiology is actually shared as well. So it can be very, very entwined and interconnected and toxic. So there's a firm grip here, is what I'm trying to say. There's a firm grip in this situation, and it's really seeping into the subconscious. There's a lot of illusion here. There's a lot of confusion. The main thing is that this tower is about to fall because somebody's not going to be able to hold out any longer. I'm thinking of a situation of someone who thinks of their parent as this, and I feel like this person is, so there's two situations. There's one in which a parent, a father, is this way, and the two sons are mimicking the behavior. So the father is a sociopath and the sons are mimicking the behavior, and so everybody's questioning whether they're sociopathic, but they're actually not. They're just mimicking behavior for approval. They're not over that stage of not caring yet, but it's close, right? And a little broken heart, a little disillusionment, and they're going to be there. But that's one type of system, and this is more, I think, to do with men. Women tend to, we reject our mothers more. That's a part of the whole dynamic. So women tend to be more discursive than men. Men tend to be more homosocial. They need to approval in the hierarchy of family, right? But the other piece is then there's the man who is in some way rejecting the father's energy. They recognize it for what it is, but is in some way still tied up with their energy. And so that person is very vulnerable. That person is very vulnerable to the sociopathic attack because the father then recognizes that their ego is in some way in jeopardy. They feel paranoid. They feel afraid of what this son is going to come up against. So it's a very tenuous situation. And I feel like in some way the Queen of Wands recognizes all of that. She recognizes and she uses it to her advantage because she's a narcissist. She could be a sociopath as well, or even worse, a sadist. A sadist is somebody who derives pleasure from manipulating situations. So yeah, there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of hiding in illusion. You know, this can be a very safe card for people who are being under attack, because you can hide your emotions at the bottom of that little bowl here or whatever, and nobody can find you. In the past is this. We have the Emperor. So there would have been a very kind of stable energy, somebody who was offering up a substantial amount of stability into the situation. You may have been married. There could have been an influence. You could have even gone for counseling in the recent past, and the person you were speaking with was that father that you never had, or that mother, right? And that good role model is now somehow gone. They are leaving your life. They are leaving the situation. And one of the big qualms I have with social work and psychology is that it's like when people are struggling, we have all these limitations like finances and all these things that take the proper energy out of people's lives. These things are too short term. If somebody suffers a trauma, they get a course of 8 weeks of counseling or support. Well, what happens after that? These things last a long time. So this person should be in longer, but for whatever reason, this person's being removed at this time. The energy that you have in the situation, you have the Chariot. So you're recognizing all of this, and I think that you're overcoming things within your heart. When you start seeing things for what they are, the toxic dynamics, you're able to elevate and find a good solution. And this could be also, you know, a mother and her son. So the mother and the son are in some way afflicting some kind of, so if you've been married to someone, you know, and you've gone through a divorce or a breakup, the mother could be, and the son could be preying on you, you know, they get you married and then suddenly you're in hell. Yeah. So this is you overcoming things. This is you seeing it for what it is. You need to get out of that shaky moment. What I said about depression, anxiety, you have to stop that. And there's different ways of doing that. Support groups can be very toxic because other people have overlapping, so you can spiral down with other people, but you need to find a common ground. Removing the stressors is definitely the first step in order to save yourself and really make a commitment to yourself in some way to make a commitment to yourself in some way to, how do you say, make a commitment to yourself in some way to, words, Veroosh. Make a commitment to yourself that if you ever come upon this energy, because you'll be vulnerable for a little while, for a couple years even, you need to be very selective of who you let in and how and what kind of energy, but it can be really quite confusing, and I think that you need some time to settle down. And so this feels really good. Hey, I broke through it, but I don't want you to fall into disillusionment that when you come upon an energy that in some way is again mimicking this, because you have the neuropathology of accepting this, you're used to it, you've been socialized to by these people, you have been groomed. I don't know if you guys know the word grooming. A grooming is when you have someone who comes in like this. The relationship starts off really gentle, but then slowly they start to groom you, which is teach you the ways of accepting abuse. And that's why people stay in abusive situations for a very long time. So if you're the child of, the partner of, and this could have been even a good marriage that changed. Remember, people can change. This person could have always been a narcissist, sociopath. However, I feel like this, but their needs here could have been met. And so they were putting up on a facade. And if you look at him, he looks like he's wearing a mask, right? Like he looks like he's a zombie emperor. Like he looks like, you know, so he could have been always that way. anyway, this kind of the sociopathy, and then he met another woman, or maybe his mother got involved, or he seemed like the perfect partner, and then suddenly you got married and you're in hell, right? And sorry if it's triggering anybody, but I feel like this is it. And you know, I in my mind I called this the wild card reading, so I'm not surprised that it's not like it's the deepest one, and it's kind of intense and kind of like boom, here you are. And there are some things that I wanted to address, but they didn't come up in the earlier readings. They'll come up in the future, but this is one of them. And so it's really interesting that it came through like that. So I feel like yeah, it's you know, you're getting, this is like, sociopathy is no joke, and never tell a sociopath or a narcissist that they are such, please, because that will make them target you. You can't teach them how to behave, because they're just going to adapt and do. You have to realize that it's just, they don't have feelings, and so anyway, or they don't have compassion. So this person could have been the ideal partner for a time, and this is the confusing part, because you're a healthy person, right? You're a healthy person who has healthy emotions, you care about others. And so something changed, a dynamic, a woman showed up on the scene, or possibly there was a breakdown in the relationship, or maybe this person suffered a narcissistic, what is the word, trauma, like when a narcissist feels their emotion isn't somehow scathed or nullified, right? And so this comes out. This is what you get. It's like, boom, how dare you question who I am, you know? That kind of energy. So it could have become very scathing and scary. The thing that I'm saying is, if you're under the same roof, then keep your mouth shut and hide in your bowls and make your plans to remove yourself as soon as possible. There's no reason in these types of situations. The worst kinds of situations is when people are dependent, such as children, or people who have some type of disability or mental health issue that causes them to have to be subject to this type of energy. In the around energy is the Knight of Wands. So there's someone who's breezing through. He's a Sag, Leo, or Aries. This can be very triggering as well, because this person not necessarily the most dependable. So it's like they bring in all the love, they bring in all the positive energy, but they dip really fast as well. So it's like the problem here is like they're not going to stick around, you know, and you need that stability, you need that common ground, you know, you need that consistency. So this can trigger a relapse, right, where you feel like you're rising up out of something and they catch you, they bring you down to size, it's going to get lower, you start crying, things get really, really confusing, and you get in a deeper low. And each time you go in a low, you go a bit deeper. It gets a little bit less, the light kind of starts to fade a little bit more. And so this Knight of Wands comes through, maybe even with good intentions. However, I feel like I would say be careful with this energy unless they're able to pull you out of there, you know. The main message is get you out of this thing. Here is the next message. We have the Five of Wands. And so I feel as though there is a lot of strife and a lot of this kind of internal stuff. You will feel like Stockholm syndrome, feel compassion and even feel protective towards these energies. So you're struggling within yourself, there's struggle around you in order to make sense of things. And I think this is also really, really triggering, because you're like, how could they do this to me? They were great. Or if you had a counselor, or if you had someone around you who was in some way providing that stability, and now they're gone, it's like, it's that you're scratching your head, and it can be very triggering, and you can feel very disillusioned or discouraged, right? Here is the upcoming energy. Hey girl, hey. Upcoming energy, we have the Seven of Wands. So it's just like, again, I feel like you're still going to fall back a little bit. Standing up for yourself, Seven of Wands, you know. I think the way to get through these types of things is not to confront, not to have to face, the way that you stand up for yourself is to dip out. It's the Seven of Swords. We need the Seven of Swords here. You dip out and you leave. You leave and you take your hits for leaving. You know, it's gonna give you a social hit, maybe a financial hit. Whatever's keeping you tied down, you'll have to change in some way, but confronting the issue. So I feel like you're overcoming things, but it's almost like, you know, in a cycle with, you know, smoking cigarettes, for example. If you, after your first cigarette is like, wow, I'm having a smoke, yeah, but then soon enough you're even more of a cigarette zombie, right? So it's like any form of abuse, you know, a codependency. It just brings you down that much lower, gets you in its net, has some type of perceived incentive. It's never really a good thing. And then it brings you down lower. So the outcome is the Six of Cups. So you know you're going to make the right decision. I'm so happy to see this. Yay! Love wins in the end. So I feel like this is also thinking about the past, but I feel like, no, I feel like you're going to make the right decision. And this could have to do with like love coming out of your heart. You just need to navigate this confusing situation, you know. It's very, very confusing, and like you can't even breathe. But I feel like love is coming through, and I think that there's catharsis, and I think that you need to see everything for what it is. And fair weather friends that dip out, that manipulate, that they you know, it's, I don't know, they're not necessarily narcissists, because everybody has a right to do whatever they want, but I think that that's not the standard that's healthy for you. So for example, like I used to smoke, right? I used to smoke cigarettes. And you know, smoking is bad. I can't do that. Like I can't go into places where there's smoking and stuff. So like certain things you need to know with boundaries. You need to have boundaries with certain things and certain situations. I feel like you need to in some way have boundaries. You need to in some way understand that the energy that this person is bringing in is actually a triggering point. This person, unless they're a part of this, unless they're a part of your emancipation, they're enabling your suppression, or at least they are turning a blind eye in order to get their ego gratification, and that's not going to help you either. So you know, I would say just, if they're your ticket out of there, go for it. But I feel like, don't put yourself in a situation with somebody who is not going to carry you through, at least emotionally, because then you're creating for yourself vulnerability. But sometimes it's the only way. Sometimes it's the only way to pull yourself out of things, pull yourself in a new direction. But yeah, sticking up for yourself is a big one, but how you stick up for yourself, you know, you hide away, you stick up for yourself, and then you move forward in the direction that you want. Okay. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope that you guys, have a nice day, and I will talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.